I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-Minute Convos, where I help you create a brand of your own unique real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good night, Tim Rutherford. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful night?
Fantastic, thank you.
Well, it's a great pleasure to connect with you, Tim. Please do tell us which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this time.
Sure. My wife and I blog about our early retirement at www.gowithless.com. And I'm an award travel expert and the technical guy behind all the numbers that come up on our site.
Ooh, yeah, I remember your wife, my friend. We had a great conversation the other night. Before we end, I'll attempt to pull up her podcast conversation number so people that are listening can go back to see why this guy is as great as he is.
Perfect. There you go.
So, Tim, who did you learn the skill of blogging from?
Yeah, so I guess blogging is something that I've learned about recently. And we're pretty much self-taught and still learning. But where I learned about, I guess, how to retire early and the award travel and things like that. So that was pretty much self-taught. But I was a business traveler for roughly 20 years. And so for the last 8 years, I was spending almost every week on a plane. And so I became very familiar with all the award programs. One of the things that I learned over the course of all the business travel was that the way to earn points wasn't through travel. The way to earn points was actually through other means, through credit card sign-up bonuses and things along those lines.
Yeah, she spoke about you being a guy who always has his thumb on the knob, if you would. It seems as though you've been accountable with your finances. Do you have a degree or a certificate in finances?
Yeah, interesting. I have a degree in business, which I was a sales guy for most of my career, but it was a technical sales role. So my degree was in business computing science. But so I have a little bit of financial education, but most of my personal finance knowledge came from just reading things on my own and learning on my own.
Now, what do you think of this guy called Dave Ramsey? He definitely impacted my life tremendously. Have you encountered his work?
I am familiar with Dave Ramsey. I don't listen to him regularly, but I think he has some good messaging. And then there's some things so I think I've actually heard Dave is not a big fan of credit cards for any reason. And so credit cards are a big part of my life, and we use them very responsibly. But for good reason, he probably puts that message out there. But otherwise, I think he's a great resource.
So how has the traveling journey been so far, Tim?
Well, this year we've been on 10 trips, and so. We've been to expensive places also. We've been to New York. We've been to Boston. We've been to Disney World. We've been to the south of France. And so and most of this is financed with points. And so I think for the 10 trips we've taken this year, including all those destinations I just mentioned, Santa Barbara as well, we're going to come in under $10,000 for all of our trips.
Wow. Where's the best place for someone to connect with you or to find out more?
Yeah, www.gowithless.com. That's where we're talking about what we're doing.
Love it. And what's one other thing you've done consistently over the last 3 years?
Yeah, it's sort of in line with the blogging thing. So I'm going to say I've been doing this since I'm 50 now. And I've been doing this since I was probably 22, 23. But I track every penny that I spend. And so I think that's a large part of what allowed us to do what we did is knowing where we are. So do you know Peter Drucker? Have you heard of this fellow?
Yeah, most definitely. C. Drucker, right? Peter C. Drucker, yeah. So
he has this saying that says that which is measured improves. And so that's certainly been the case with our finances and tracking what we spend.
Yeah, it's funny how it works, right? It's like an unwritten principle, isn't it?
Yeah, no doubt.
How does it make you feel to look back at what you've done, which was the hard work, right? How to just be accountable. How does it make you feel to see where you are now, Tim?
It's amazing. So, I mean, Amy and I wake up every day and talk about how amazing our life is. And if it weren't for the hard work we put in and the things that we did, we wouldn't be here. And we love it so much. That's why we talk about it on our blog. So it's like we're drinking the Kool-Aid. We want to share our message.
That's great. Suggest to someone out there who's listening why they should start now with being accountable with their finances. Yeah,
I mean, I guess if you don't start now you're never going to be there. And so something that we realized, we made this huge transition from being really big spenders. So we haven't been frugal all of our lives. We've watched what we spent, but we haven't been really good at necessarily spending less. And what we realized over the course of making our transition to our newfound life is that how much you spend is the most important factor in your financial life. So how much you make is less important. If you make $400,000 a year and you spend $399,000 a year just living your life, that's a bad equation. So how much you spend is really important to getting ahead with your finances.
Amazing audience, you're hearing it live here from Tim Rutherford. Again, his wife was on here, Amy. Her episode number is 1884. You could always go back in the archive, check that out. Tim, let's switch gears for a moment now and let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Tim, what is your earliest childhood memory?
So I remember my grandparents raised me until I was about 10 years old. And so one warm summer afternoon, there was a hill in front of my grandparents' house. And so I thought it would be a smart thing to take a nap on this hill in front of my grandparents' house. And so my grandmother sees me on the hill. She runs out and she wakes me up, and she's in tears because she thought something awful had happened to me, because what kind of kid takes a nap on the top of a hill in the middle of nowhere? But anyway, she woke me up, and so and she was very upset with me, and so that's probably my earliest childhood memory. And I think I was between 5 and 7 years old when that happened.
So why do you think this memory is so clear, Tim?
I think just the how upset my grandmother was, so that really stuck with me. So I'm sure it came with more than just tears, but I remember it being mainly tears. But it was traumatic for her, and therefore traumatic for me.
How do you see this memory connected to who you are today?
That's a good question. I still nap a lot, so my wife would say that it's somehow associated with who I am today. But and I can take a nap anywhere, so maybe, yeah, possibly.
Can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind?
Sure.
I love the picture image of being accountable with your finances. Of course, starting with you being accountable with yourself, putting things in place in order to be able to rest on that hill, if you would, the hill that you spent your life climbing. Where else is it better to, just have that time to take a time out and enjoy it? Fascinatingly enough,
nice.
You're
That's
doing
a nice
that.
connection.
Yeah, you're doing that now, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, pretty amazing. Well done. I'm not sure the grandmother part. I'm not sure what's going on there, but it is what it is.
There you go.
If we fast forward to when you were 12, what was your favorite song?
Yeah, so one of my favorite things to do that I remember doing when I was around that age.
Wait 1 second.
Yeah, sure.
So I just got it, right?
No.
So the comforter, similar to your wife, right? There's someone there to share in the compassion with you. Yeah, just like your wife, right?
Just like my wife, my teammate. My grandmother was sort of my teammate at the time. So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
absolutely.
Love it. Yeah, sorry. So your favorite song when you were 12?
So I was going to say, I used to love to roller skate, and there was a roller rink in my hometown, in this little East Texas town, and they used to play Three Dog Night's Joy to the World. And so I love to skate to that song, and so it just pumped me up whenever I hear it. So I'm going to go with Joy to the World.
Yeah, I love to connect dots. I mean, you're traveling all over the world. Definitely Joy to the World, right?
Absolutely.
Well, Tim, we've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready, Tim?
Absolutely.
Tim, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Everyone that will listen via our blog.
Well, you're married to Amy. Do you have children?
I do. I have 3 children from a previous marriage, 2 boys and a girl.
Do you believe in God?
I do not.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
I do.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
I do not.
How about 3 hours a week?
Probably closer to 5 or 6 hours a week, I'd say.
And what about screen time, the phone and the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Unfortunately, it's probably close to 8 hours a day.
Tim, if you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who Tim Rutherford is, what would you say that is?
More living, less spending.
Love it. Tim, this has been a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Angel, I'd just like to ask folks to follow us at www.gowithless.com. We've got a great message and love to share it.
Tim Rutherford, thank you for being on what is inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you, Angel.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.